this. And you can fill this up all the way, even though you're only going to make a single cup of coffee. This is an intelligent brewer, so it only uses as much water as it needs to make that single cup of coffee. So I think that's really cool. These are the controls here. You have different sizes of brews that you can make with this thing. It's really awesome. It's very convenient. You can make a single cup of coffee, which is going to be about 9 ounces. You can make an XL size, which is going to be about 11 ounces. You can make a travel mug of coffee, which is going to be about 14 ounces. And then they have an XL size here, which is giving you about 18 ounces. You can make a half a pot of coffee, or you can make a full pot of coffee. And then you have choices of brew styles for coffee. You have classic, rich, over ice, cold brew, or specialty. And the difference between classic and rich, basically rich is going to use a little bit less water, and it also pre-infuses the coffee grounds with water before it actually starts to fully brew the coffee. So it really gets all those grounds completely saturated and gives you a better extraction. So they've really thought this out well, and I have to say it really is a delicious cup of coffee. Now, for making just a single cup of coffee, there's a little tray that folds down here, so you can put your coffee cup in there. And all you have to do is measure your coffee using the scoop that I just showed you. And for a single cup of coffee, we could put in, let's just say 3 scoops of the small size. Now you get a permanent filter here for your coffee. If you don't want to use the permanent filter, you can just take that out and then use a paper filter instead. And so you don't destroy the taste of your teas, they give you a separate tea basket. So you put the filter in there, permanent filter again, put your tea in there, and it'll also recognize different types of tea, and it'll adjust the brew temperature accordingly. So it's going to be able to brew it differently, whether you use a herbal tea, a black tea, a oolong, or a green tea. And that is pretty smart thinking on their part. So to make a single cup of coffee, I'll make this while I'm talking. I'm just going to put in 3 small scoops, and I'm just going to make the small size of coffee. So I adjust the size to small, and I'm going to make it rich. Just close this up. And I've already got water in my water reservoir. My cup is ready to go. I've pushed the on button. Let me show you that. You've got the clock up here. You can also delay start. If you want to delay start, you just push this. We'll actually turn it on first, then push delay start, and you can set your start time if you want to make a pot of coffee. But if you don't, and I don't, I want to make a cup of coffee right now. I'm going to move this to a regular cup. Classic, actually I want rich, so I'm going to move it down to rich, and I'm going to push the start button, and it's going to start making the cup of coffee. Now, like I said, it's going to put a little bit of water in the grounds first. It's going to pre-infuse the grounds, and then it will continue to make the coffee. And I believe it takes about 2 minutes, a little over 2 minutes, I think, to make a single cup of coffee. And actually, that's not much longer than it actually takes my Keurig to make a cup of coffee once it preheats and gets ready to go. So I'm really impressed with this. Now, it is a little large, but we have 18-inch tall counters here, and I think this thing stands 15 inches tall. Yep, just about 15 inches tall. It does have cord storage in the back. You can just push the cord inside, so that's kind of cool. It does have a warming tray here when you're making a half pot or a full pot of coffee, and it actually you can adjust the temperature to high or low. And it will also gradually reduce the temperature automatically, so that you don't, if your pot of coffee or carafe is sitting on there for several hours, it will actually reduce the temperature as time goes on, which I think is really a great feature as well. How many times you had your old Mr. Coffee machine and that coffee was just basically baked on that warming tray. So it's a very intelligent coffee brewer, and it's so versatile. Now when you make cold brew, it's probably not the way that a purist would make cold brew. It actually does warm the water a little bit, not as hot as coffee, but it does warm the coffee, and it does take about 10 minutes to make a cup of cold brew. And you basically brew the coffee into a cup, but you use a little extra coffee, and because it's a little bit warmer, it does extract as much as it can out of those grounds in that 10-minute period of time. Overall, just an awesome brewing system here. Very intelligent. I think it's fairly attractive, and it just has so many great features, a lot of which I haven't even gone into, but there are other features. You can adjust the parameters of what it's doing here, and it's really great. So it's going to eliminate my Keurig. I'll be able to get rid of my pot that I use for boiling water for tea. It's going to help me declutter.
Wait, you haven't seen the best part yet. Here are some amazing offers and specials available for one time only. You can't afford to miss it.